Kelson Henderson, I guess he's become a lucky charm for Power Rangers. Except for Samurai, he's been in every other series since DinoThunder, from small roles to main characters. He even became a real ranger finally. If I had to sum him up in one word, flexible. He's done many different roles. Sasquatch, Butterfly, Troblin, robots, goofballs, villains. He's one of those actors that pops up everywhere, goes in, does a good job, understands the show. You want him to come back. I remember seeing him on Hercules. Even back then he did goofy roles. He's done more than 10 roles on PR, lots of voices. Hard to choose. It's not straightforward. This role sucked, this role's great. Some fall into the line of you didn't do much, but you were there. Thanks goes to Fandom Warrior for the suggestion. If you have an idea or topic you'd like me to cover, leave a comment below. I might use it in a future video. Norg. Someone has to be at the bottom. They dropped the ball on him. Actually, he probably played with the ball. Norg and Furious were created to replace Gaja from Bokenger. He was the main villain of the season. None of that footage could be used. Fine, we know the drill. PR's done that many times. But as usual, no matter the production team, everyone does the same mistake. You see evil character in Sentai, they do the opposite in PR. It can work, but you have limits. Zeltrax is one. He was in the middle. Main rival of Tommy, tough, sometimes made a fool by the Rangers, does weird things like the clone and his son episode. Instead, they went the Elgar route. Yeah. You always ask the same question, why is he here? He should be gone, he should be dead, but he keeps staying just like Mara and Capri. Every scene is ruined. He's not funny, acting like a kid basically never works. Same problem with Victor and Monty. They just didn't know where to put the off button. There's a point where you're funny to where you want the character off screen. Norg always crossed that line. He did nothing for 36 episodes, then he helps out with Taizan's fiance. That doesn't make up for it. Kelson did the part fine, that's one of his specialties, but the character was not needed, to put it lightly. Cruz. In this case, the character isn't bad, not at all. Even though season 2 of Beast Morphers hasn't come out at the point of this video, it's more the fault of Cruz and the other companions not getting much to do. They use the footage when they can, they do get the scenes. Think of Cruz like Alpha, important, good character, just isn't there. I'd like more as long as it's not like Redbot. I might be wrong, they might make Cruz turn into the Battleizer or something, but as of now, he's basic. That's really the only fault the companion bots have. What's really annoying? The Buddy Roids were used a lot in Go Busters. They kept their personality, so it's not like a footage problem. They just haven't used Cruz for much. Maybe the writers can't really think up better ways to use them, so they just keep them on the side. If that's the case, so be it. I'd rather have them be good in short bursts than be Victor and Monty. Flit. Personally, I really hate this character. I would put Flit dead last on my list if I wasn't being objective. I didn't like him in Geki Ranger either. They had to do it, there was no way around the footage, they were not going to ask Japan to give them the raw footage of the fights. But there are times that I did find Flit okay. That's Henderson doing his job. That's why I think people enjoy the actor. He's able to work with basically anything, but some things he can't save. He plays a fairy in Mystic Force, cool. He plays a villain, works there too. That's what being an actor is all about. The worst point where I hated him was in the early episodes. For a little while, they kind of went around him. He eventually popped up, got on my nerves, but with the combination of his acting and the writers restricting him, plus Camille getting better near the end, everything fell into place. He was becoming more fun. He still interrupted things, but nothing egregious. If I had to give an example on how to fix Victor and Monty, I guess Flit is a choice. Eddie. Now, some people probably look at him as the villain for Kira's episode. Much like how Connor had to decide on being a Ranger or Soccer, this was Kira finding who she wanted to be. Eddie saw something in Kira, thought she fit the look that he wanted for his company. She didn't agree with it. I didn't like her look. But Eddie is just following the trends and where the money goes. I like that the episode focused on Kira and left Eddie in a neutral position. We got to know her more. This is a good example on teaching lessons to kids. It's subtle. We saw Kira one way, just like Connor did, but she doesn't fit in a single category, and she wanted input from her friends. Decided to let a good chunk of money go. Blake and Hunter's done that in the past. Staying as a ranger and who she really is at heart. You need good character actors to pull off episodes like this.
Bubblesworth.
This is why I got disappointed with the Sam character. You go out of your way to come up with something pretty original in PR, which is not easy to do. You have 2 kid actors, which usually means doom. I keep thinking about that DinoThunder episode, but miracles happen. They have special powers, they still act like kids, using these powers in bad ways, so Z gains a bond with Sam, with a crazy monster on top of all this, turning people into dolls. Everything you want from PR, and using the Sentai material in a proper way where it makes sense. Most of the time you can't tell Kelson is doing Bugglesworth. He comes up with some good voices. If Bugglesworth was your generic monster, like, say, an RPM, Sam's story wouldn't have been that good. We know Moira is the one in charge, but with the help of her monster, he could play around with Sam's feelings of being alone to trigger that adult parent trusting response, so that Sam teleporting them to places, even when he can understand they're doing bad things, gets used to the process to where he stops seeing the difference between bad and good. This is why Z was scared for Sam. It would have spiraled out of control and we don't know what would have happened to Sam. I could see him being absorbed into the magnificence. They just want his power, not him.
Mick.
Ty's own story with the Fear Cats, I think, is the best part that came out of Overdrive. Usually Kelson doesn't get extended villain roles. One-off monster per season are his thing. Mick got to stick around in this season. I really wish if Henderson would get a full villain role. He got his hero role. I just like to see how far he can go. The cats didn't get much screen time. Things were changed around from Bokenger. You could see he liked the role. Every time they popped up, I got mad. The other villains never did it for me. Miratrix tried, but that went down the drain. What's funny is when Ninja Steel reused the Fear Cat suits, Henderson ended up voicing that monster. They could have easily made that Mick. Make it a funny joke like, oh yeah, I survived these bunch of rangers, I want my revenge. Gets killed in the tournament in 5 seconds.
Devastation.
Devastation was really the only good part of the Omega arc. This is one area that SPD had wasted when it came adapting the story from Deca Ranger. It didn't help that Morgana never fit in on top of this. Most of the Deca Ranger stuff couldn't be used. It was very creepy with Deca Yellow, but it made Adult Mora meh. Devastation's brother didn't do anything. He was basically an afterthought. So we're left with Devastation himself. Again, Henderson knows how to push the right buttons. He knows how to put in all the things that piss you off when the bad guy gets the upper hand. I always wondered if he ever watched the Japanese footage for some ideas, because he matched what Deca Ranger was doing with the Blitz brothers. Credit also has to go to the writer too. They had not used Morgana and created a different character to fill in the succubus role from Deca Ranger, it would have helped more.
Mechanic.
Looking through Ninja Steel, Mick is still the best thing that came from there. Yes, I agree the quality of his lesson teaching got worse, but that didn't ruin him. It undermined the Rangers. You still like him for what he brought to the show. This was pretty hard to do, coming up with a new character who is very similar to Boom. How do you do it? Mick is not an airhead as Boom, but he still goes in that direction. Maybe it did help that he taught the Rangers lessons, so it kept the Boom side down with the logic side up. The best moment, of course, was him becoming a Red Ranger. Genius idea from the writing team, but why do it at the end of season 1 when there's no footage left for you to use? Even through all this, it didn't fully change my opinion on him. I would drop him lower in my secondary character list if I updated it, but I will say he did pick up some when we found out what happened to him in the past with the whole royal family selling him as a slave. I think that's why he's really overprotective, that mistrust and not wanting to see other people go through what he did.
Phineas.
Yes, I wish Phineas was a part of the dang team. At this point, get rid of Madison, make him the Blue Ranger. I would have taken anything for him to be used more. He was more interesting than the Mystic Force cast. Another goofball character done right. Phineas would come in just before you got annoyed, pulled back, and the story continued. Even when they did the whole tooth episode with the dumb dentist, still funny. We needed a break from all the Nick stuff. Phineas is Kelson's best hidden role. You don't even know it's him at all. From the makeup to the voice, you never think that's Boom. It also helped that he was a factor in saving Nick as a baby. This is what I would have liked from Bulk and Spike. Being a part of the story is important. He had a harder job than most. He had no sidekick. Henderson had to play off with someone different each time. They even got him to work with Korag, and I bought it that he wouldn't shoot his head off. I don't know how Mystic Force got this character perfect, especially nothing like him existing in Magi Ranger. I'm more disappointed that Phineas didn't replace Mandra Boy. He could have been a semi-Guardian character in every other episode.
Boom.
His first main role on Power Rangers, you just can't forget Boom. Every time he came on screen, you wanted more Boom. He meant well. You knew he could do the job. Kruger wouldn't keep him if he sucked. He rebuilt Rick. He's smart. He's not as good as Kat, but she's really stiff, so Boom fills in that spot. He's also not a bad fighter. Remember, he played the monster in the simulated fight back in the pilot, so he could be a ranger if he really tried. I mean, they accepted Bridge for God's sake. Bridge ain't all that far from Boom. Even though he kind of got lost in the latter half of SPD, giving him that one focused episode really paid off. I've always said it, if you don't have the time to fully flesh everyone out, give them at least one episode that's rememberable. Boom was lucky, or maybe I should say Orange Ranger was lucky. Kelson Henderson became the Alpha 5 of the series. We were lucky that the show found an actor like him. PR can be a complicated beast to do right. You have to understand camp, corny, drama, comedy, being comfortable with action at any given time. I'm always open for him to keep coming back each year. I think the only thing that would ever top him if he got to do all his roles in one episode somehow. Your thoughts on Henderson? Which roles of his did you like? Which did you hate? New episodes Mondays, fan commentaries Wednesdays. Next week, the funniest episodes of Power Rangers. If you like my content, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Due to fair use abuses from the various companies, I no longer feature footage from the various episodes. Thank you for understanding. See you in the next video.